Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're getting into another new makeup playtime. I do this series on my channel every single month. I basically round up a whole bunch of new makeup that I either bought or got sent in a subscription box or in PR, and I put it all on my face and tell you what I think about it. So today we created this really awesome green halo eye. I am kind of loving it, not gonna lie. So if you would like to see what products I used to create this face, we're about to get into it. All right, so for primer and foundation, I don't have anything super new. Both of these products are still relatively new to my collection, but I've already talked about them quite a bit on my channel, so I'm not going to focus on them too much today. And they are the Touch in Sol No Pore Blem Primer, which I did talk about in my February makeup playtime update, so I will link that for you guys in the cards if you want to go check that out. And then the foundation is going to be the Tarte Face Tape, which I did an entire dedicated review on, so if you want to see this applied, demoed, and hear my thoughts on it, I did a full day wear test. I will link that for you guys in the description box and up in the cards as well. Okay, so we are going to be testing out a new concealer today. I got my hands on this new one from L'Oreal. It is the Infallible Full Wear More Than Concealer, which people have been saying is a dupe for Tarte Shape Tape. I feel like every concealer that hits a drugstore, people are saying is a dupe for Shape Tape, but I think it's just because Shape Tape is the most popular full coverage concealer on the market right now, so naturally that's kind of where everybody's mind goes. So I picked this up in my local CVS, and I have had it on hand now for probably about 3 weeks. I didn't use it too much at the beginning because it was right around the same time that I got the face tape, and I wanted to use this with the Shape Tape. So I kind of put this guy on the back burner for a little while, but then I did just recently start pulling it out, start testing it again, and I wore this the other day, and it creased real badly under my eyes. But I was also testing out something from Dr. Brandt that day. They're like Needles No More depuffing gel that I got in my FabFitFun, so that could have been part of the issue. And I also did layer over it with the powder that's new that we're going to be testing out today. So I did not put that eye gel on today. I have nothing on but my regular moisturizer and serum. So we're gonna give this guy another whirl today and see how it fares. For reference, I got the shade 360 Cashmere, and I find this to be very light on me. I would have normally gone deeper, but I felt like all of the deeper shades were very, very pink, and I am a much more yellow undertoned person, so I didn't want to go like super pink for my concealer. And in my local stores, there just was not like the full range of shades available, so maybe if all of them were in stock, I would have found a better shade match, but this is what I went with. I mean, it's not terrible for brightening up my under eyes. It's not like it's stark white on me. It's just, it's a little bit light. Now, I feel like this is a decently full coverage concealer. Obviously, with it being brightening and quite a bit lighter than my natural skin tone, I feel like it's not going to appear quite as full coverage as it would if it matched my natural skin tone. But I definitely feel like, you know, it does cover up some of the darkness that I have in my under eye area. But this is definitely a more sort of dry formula. I mean, right now with it not being set, you're still seeing some of the luminosity, but once it dries down, I feel like it dries down a little bit on the matte and cakey side. And already I'm starting to see creases on this eye. And I mean, obviously I haven't said it yet, but just in the time it took for me to blend out my other eye, this eye is already starting to crease a little bit. And I will say this much. I have fine lines under my eyes. I'm almost 32 years old. It happens. I am not super self-conscious about it. I don't really care. But as far as the performance of my eye makeup products, some things tend to exaggerate those lines more than others. So anything that creases really badly in my under eyes is just going to make those lines really, really stand out. So like I said, that was what I noticed the last time that I wore this. So yeah, I personally am not like head over heels in love with this concealer because I do feel like it looks pretty heavy. It looks pretty makeup-y in my under eye area. It is definitely prone to creasing. And what we're gonna do today for powder, do a little science experiment, if you will, is set each of my under eyes with a different powder. I have been testing out the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r powder for a while now, and I do like this one. I think it looks pretty nice in the under eyes, so we'll set this half with this guy. But then I got this powder in my FabFitFun for spring. This is the Ciate Extraordinary Translucent powder, so this is something new that I'm testing out, but I'll just use it on one under eye and to set the rest of my face, so that way we can see whether or not the concealer is going to crease no matter what, or if this guy just actually made it worse. So it's interesting, something to note, this setting powder I think retails for like $26 or $24, so it is definitely much less expensive than the Fenty. I think this one retails for $32 or somewhere in the $30 range. But like, look at the size difference of the packaging. Like, you get a lot of powder in here, 28 grams to be specific, and in this we get 15 grams. So you get 13 more grams of product in the Fenty, almost double the amount in the Ciate for less than twice the price. So I feel like, yes, this guy is an investment, and you definitely don't need to spend $30-something on powder. But just know, if you do decide to pick this guy up, it seems like a better deal, but you're really not getting a lot of product in here. I feel like this is creasing so much. I'm going to try to blend some of those creases out before I go in and set this, so I'm not like setting the creases into my under eyes. And I'm just going to go in with this little Wet n Wild brush into the Fenty powder, and we'll just set this down a little bit. And then, to avoid cross-contamination of our experiment, I'll use this Moda brush for the Ciate powder. Now, this guy here is like stark, ooh, as I spill it everywhere, stark white. Like, if you look at this next to the Fenty, this is a truly like translucent setting powder. It is completely bright and white, which could be brightening, but it also could make it a little bit prone to flashback, so we'll have to see about that. And again, I'm gonna try to smooth out some of these under eye creases before I go in and set this. Then we'll take the brush, just tap that on. I don't know, guys, my under eyes, I feel like they do not look too good right now. So I guess I'll see later when I'm editing this footage, but I feel like my under eyes look so dry and so wrinkly and cakey right now. It is not a great situation. And like, honestly, with both powders, it's doing the same thing. I feel like you can see it already starting to crease into my fine lines, and it does not look super pretty, so I'm not exactly thrilled about that. Anyway, we're just gonna move on to the rest of this. I'm gonna take some more of this Ciate powder on a larger, fluffy brush here to set down the rest of my face. And this powder has no scent to it whatsoever, so that's nice if you are sensitive to fragrance, because the Fenty one is definitely pretty heavily scented. Alright, so as far as like the rest of my face goes, I feel like the Ciate powder set it down fairly nicely. I don't feel like it looks super dry or flaky cakey elsewhere, so I really think the issue is just this concealer. I don't think it's really that great for concealing in your under eyes. It's just very, very drying, and I do have extremely oily skin, but I will say that my under eye area does not tend to be the place where I have a lot of oils. The oils are just right below that, right around my nose, my forehead, and my chin. That's where I have very large pores, but it doesn't really like travel into my eye area, if you will. So yeah, I don't really feel like I dig this too much. But the Ciate powder, I kind of feel like the verdict is still out on, because I've only used this one other time before today, and it was with this concealer. So we'll have to try this guy again with other concealers, and then I will keep you updated later this month. So I don't have a new bronzer to test out today, so I'm just going to be using Bahama Mama from theBalm. This is in my everyday makeup drawer, so if you missed my getting ready with me video that I just did, I will link it for you guys up here in the cards, and I demoed this product on camera then as well. So I do have a new blush today that I'm really excited about. I'd heard so many good things about these, and it just took me a really long time to finally go ahead and pick one up. So this is one of the Flower Pots powder blushes from Flower Beauty. This is in the shade Warm Hibiscus, which is a really beautiful bright pink with like a gold sheeny shift to it. And I'm not gonna lie, I have been using this off camera for the last like 2 weeks a ton. I pretty much have not been able to put it down since I picked it up because it is a beautiful, glowy blush formula. Honestly, it reminds me so much of NARS Orgasm, but that one, honestly, I don't even like as much as I like this because the gold reflect in that is almost glittery and chunky, and I think this is more flattering on the skin. So when it comes to applying this guy, I've really been liking using this style of blush brush. This is the one from Luxie. I used to be all about using angled brushes like this one, which I actually found I prefer for doing bronzer and contour, but something like this is very, very soft, and it allows you to kind of just like gently build product up on your cheeks so your blush doesn't get too intense. So I'm just gonna dip a little bit of this in here, and then I'm gonna go onto the apples of my cheeks in like really light circular motions to just buff it on. And this I feel like is just such a beautiful color for spring. It like really just kind of like livens up the skin. It's very youthful. And honestly, like I don't have a highlight on, and I feel like you can get away with not even wearing a highlight when you're wearing this blush because it is so radiant and glowy. And it's not glittery. Like there are no chunks of anything. There's no like little particles or anything that's going to be falling out on your face. It just has a sheen, kind of almost as if, like I said, you'd applied a blush topper or a highlight on top. So honestly, I think I'm just going to skip highlight altogether today because I feel like I am glowy AF without it. And then I actually have got 2 new brow products to try out today, which I'm very excited to crack into because I need some eyebrows. I have like the thinnest, most sparse and uneven natural eyebrows, so they need a little bit of love right now. Now, both of these products are super affordable. I have the ColourPop Brow Boss Pencil, and I got this in the shade Ash Brown, and then also the E.L.F. Wow Brow, which I have in the shade Neutral Brown. So this guy is just your standard micro pencil. It has a spoolie on one end and then a twist up automatic brow pencil on the other. So I'm gonna start out by kind of like shaping my brows with this guy. And I have never used this before, so this is my first time testing it out. And I honestly had heard pretty good things about it, and it's only $5, so that doesn't suck. Okay, so far, so good. I think the color is spot on. I like anything that says ash because it's going to generally tend to be a little bit more cool toned, which I feel like is the natural color of my eyebrows. And pigmentation wise, it's nice. It's a little bit on the stiffer side, but I'm not having to like really drag it super hard across my brows to get pigmentation. But it's also not going on so heavy that I feel afraid my eyebrows are gonna look really fake and like overly filled in too quickly. Yeah, I think that looks really nice, actually. I'm not mad at that at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other brow and then we'll come back to this guy. Now I do like to go through my brows after I've used a pencil or a powder with some kind of gel to kind of help to groom them and even just to fill in a little bit more. So that's why this guy intrigued me. I think this also retails for around $5 and it's very similar to the Benefit Gimme Brow. It is a brow gel with fibers. So theoretically you could use this all on its own, but I do tend to like to also use a pencil just because of the fact that my eyebrows are so thin and so wonky. Sometimes a product like this just isn't quite enough. So this could either make or break what I just did. We're about to find out. But I'm just gonna take this little guy and start gently brushing it through my brows and see what happens. So I feel like since my brows were already pretty filled in, like this didn't add too much more in the way of color, but it definitely has given my brows a little bit more of an even kind of fluffy appearance. And this is nice. It's not too wet. It's more of a moussey consistency and you can like see the little fibers. Let me see if I can show you guys. So hopefully you guys can see there's like tiny little fibers on this that definitely kind of help to add to the appearance of the brow hairs being thicker, which I think really helps somebody like me that has essentially non-existent eyebrows. So honestly, I feel like my brows look pretty good today. I'm happy with that. For $10 for the pair of these, I feel like I definitely got my money's worth, but I will be continuing to test them out and then I will be updating you guys later and letting you know what I think. Okay, so now for the fun part. So first, of course, I have my ColourPop Magnetic palette. This is basically the only palette I'm letting myself use the entire month of March. It's part of my Shop My Stash, and like half of these are new to me, half of these are old. So we're gonna be reaching into this palette. I'm thinking I want to do something green today because I haven't used these green shades yet this month, and they will go perfectly with the next product that I'm going to be showing you. And that is this guy. This is the Metalist Sparkling Foiled Pigment from Touch in Soul in the shade Sun Aurora. I am kind of obsessed with this. I think it is so beyond stunning. Now this is it's a loose pigment, but it's kind of semi-pressed. It's like a loosely pressed pigment, very similar to like the Tarte Chrome paints. So if you dip your finger into this, it feels like a powder. It is not a cream shadow, but it's obviously, like, I can tilt it and it's not spilling everywhere. It's not completely, totally loose like the new ColourPop pigments. So these guys have almost a little bit of a siliconiness like built into them that you don't get with a normal pigment. And they have the most insane, sparkly, gorgeous, duochromatic, ridiculous finish. Like, can we please talk about how stunning this is? I cannot. I basically sat for like an hour when this first came in the mail, and like I swatched it and I just was sitting there staring at my hand looking at it do this because it's so beautiful. And this guy has a gold green to like orange pink kind of trichrome shift. So I just thought this would look super beautiful, like patted on to the center of the lid with like a green halo eye type situation. So that's what I'm gonna do today. All right, so we're just gonna go straight for it, right for the green. I'm gonna be using this shade called Team Captain, which is like a matte mid-tone shade. And I'm gonna be going in with this Carity E31 blending brush. I have never actually used this color before, so I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. So I'm going to start out in kind of like the outer portion of the crease and then kind of work this color all the way through the entire crease and kind of around to the inner corner and start creating a halo shape. And this is not like a bright green, it's more of like a mossy kind of dirty olive color, but I think it will look kind of cool when the whole final finished look comes together. I feel like this is what's going on, just like a little bit patchy. But then again, I did kind of just like go straight in with the green. Normally I would go in with like a transition color first, but I'm not really sure like if I want to go in with a peach tone or something too warm yet. Like I probably will go in and kind of buff out the edges with another lighter kind of neutral brownish tone, but I kind of just wanted to see where we could go with the green. All right, so slight change of plans. I'm gonna use my Sigma Tapered Blending E35 brush, which is a little bit thinner, just so that way I can kind of build this color up a little bit more right in the deepest part of my crease and kind of get rid of some of that patchiness. Yeah, there we go. That is much better. And then you know what? I think to pick up on some of those like peachy pink tones in the pigment, I'm going to go in with the shade IOU, and I'm just going to take a little Moda Metallics crease brush, and I'm going to apply this just to the top portion of the crease to create a little bit of a transition and blended effect with the green. Okay, so next I want to take this shade called Sideline, which is a beautiful metallic, and I'm just going to go in with my finger into this guy, and I'm going to take this and tap it just kind of on the edges of the eye, kind of right along the border of where I put that matte green, just so that I have something to kind of additionally transition the pigment into. I think my Too Faced glitter glue is dying. It's pretty old. It's probably time for me to go buy a new one because it just looked a little crazy, but I'm gonna use it today anyway and see what happens. Just pop a little bit of this right into the center of the lid. Then I'm gonna use this Sigma Exact Blend brush, which is like perfect for use with a pigment like this. It's a little bit fluffy, but it's also pretty flat. Gonna pick up some of this gloriousness and start tapping it right into the center of the lid. Now I feel like there's not actually really that much fallout with this. It definitely helps to use a glitter primer. I think if you just tried to go in with this on your eyelids without any kind of adhesive base, like it would stick, but I think you're gonna get a little bit of glitter particulate falling everywhere on your face. That is, oh, so beautiful. Okay, so now I'm gonna kind of like perfect and blend. I grabbed this little Japanese kind of like flat shader brush, and I'm gonna go back into the shade Sideline and kind of just build this up a little bit and blend it into the pigment so that way there's not so much of like a harsh line between the two of them. And then I'm gonna take a little bit more of that Team Captain matte green shade and just very lightly deepen up. All right, so I basically am going to mirror what I did on the top. On the bottom, I am going to take the shade IOU first this time on this Sigma Domed Utility brush, and I'm just going to buff this onto the lower lash line to mirror some of that warmth, and I'm gonna kind of really smoke it out and take it down fairly low. And then with a smaller pencil brush, I'll go into Team Captain and then just buff this right close to the lash line. And I most definitely need an inner corner highlight. I think I'm gonna use the shade Now and Zen, which is like almost like a frosty white with like a gold kind of duochrome. It's very, very intense and light reflective. So we'll just pop a little bit of this guy right into the inner corners. Ooh, yeah, that's definitely like pulling more gold, which is exactly what I want, and it really goes nicely with the rest of this look. All right, so I do want to pop on falsies today, so I want to apply a little bit of black eyeliner to my upper lash line just so they blend in well. I'm going to be using the Sigma Longwear eyeliner pencil, which I am kind of like mildly obsessed with right now. But for the lower lash line, I have this Pixie Endless Silky Eye Pen in the shade Matte Khaki, which is green. So I think that would look really, really cool with the lower lash line and will just be a little less harsh. And then honestly, I don't have anything new as far as mascara or lashes go. I've told you guys I'm using the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara this month, and I talked about these color lashes in my beauty report from February, so just gonna throw all that on, and then we'll do lips. Not gonna lie, guys, I am loving this eye look so much right now. And these color lit lashes are beautiful. This is the first time I'm wearing this style. They're called Fearless. They sent over all 5 of their new styles to me, and I think I had previously worn at least 3 of them, but this is my first time wearing Fearless, and they are so easy to apply. They're very flexible, even though they have like a slightly thicker band. They just boop, pop right on. So I am loving the way these look, and I'm loving the green. Very, very pleased. So it's time for us to just like finish up this look. So we're gonna be pulling in the peachy tones, keeping things a bit neutral on the lip, and also testing out some newness. So I recently picked up one of these Kaja Heart Melter lip gloss sticks. Y'all know if you've been watching my videos this year, I've been really enjoying testing out products from Kaja, and this little guy is really kind of stinking adorable. It is kind of one of those like click up lip pens, but it has a heart-shaped kind of applicator situation, which honestly, it's not the easiest to use. I probably reached for this like 4 or 5 times now since I've gotten it, and it's a little tricky to create like a precise lip line, which is the only downside, but all the shades are pretty glossy, pretty forgiving. This one in particular is called Honey Bun, and I think it is like the most stunning kind of like peachy dark nude color. So gorgeous. So what I'm gonna do to make my life a little bit easier is just use a little bit of lip liner. I've been reaching for this one from Maybelline so much lately. I've had it in my collection for eons, and I don't know why I didn't really use it before now, but this is one of the Color Sensational shaping lip liners in the shade Purely Nude. So I'm just gonna use this to create just like a bit of dimension and shape. But these gloss sticks actually are pretty pigmented all on their own. They're not sheer, so you can wear them by themselves. I just find the lip liner helps a little bit. And they're very creamy, very glossy, but not gloopy. So you get like the shine of a gloss, like it's a little bit more than what you would find in a cream lipstick, but like none of the gloopy texture of a gloss. Alright guys, so that I think wraps everything up. Let me fix my hair, take my headband off, and we'll do a wrap up of everything we tried out today. Alright guys, so here is my completed final look. I actually am loving the way that it came out. My eyes right now are fierce. I'm really digging it, and I feel like my skin looks very super glowy and radiant, and just all around I feel like I'm pretty much having a good makeup day. Cannot say the same for this little baby hair situation here that refuses to stick down. Anyway, back to my thoughts on the new products I tested out. First up is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer. I am not liking this for my under eyes. I just feel like it's too drying, too cakey, it was creasing, it just was not a very flattering situation on me. Maybe all over the face it would be better, but this shade is way too light for me to use anywhere else in my face that's not my under eyes. Honestly, I probably would not go out and buy this again in another color just for that purpose. I would rather try a different formula. I'm really curious about the new E.L.F. concealer, for example, and the new Milani one. So all in all, this was kind of a dud for me. I'll test it out a few more times to see if my thoughts change, but for now, not so great. Then we had the Ciate Extraordinary Translucent Powder. Now, obviously, using this with the Infallible Concealer looked super dry on my under eyes, but on the rest of my face, it didn't seem to look too dry and cakey. It didn't seem to enhance any texture on my skin, so I didn't dislike this, but it is a very stark white powder. I don't know how well this would work on people with deeper complexions or if it would make them kind of look ashy. I also am going to need to test this guy for flashback. So far there aren't any like serious red flags that are making me think this is going to be terrible, but it's a little too soon to tell whether or not I really like it. Then we have the Flower Beauty Flower Pots blush in the shade Warm Hibiscus. I think this is beautiful. It gives you a really radiant glow to your cheeks. If you like a glowy blush, you'll really like this. Also, total dupe for NARS Orgasm with like maybe even more of a beautiful glow. You can't beat the price, so yeah, I definitely am enjoying this. I would love to try more blushes from Flower in the future, and I look forward to using it for the rest of the month. I was also super pleased with the two brow products I tried out today, both the ColourPop Brow Boss Pencil and the E.L.F. Brow Wow. I'll be curious to see how this fares all by itself. It didn't seem to add like a ton of tint to the brows because it's a more moussey formula, but it did a nice job of kind of pushing up my eyebrow hairs and making things look a little bit fuller in there and kind of making things look a little bit more wispy and natural. And I feel like the shades of these two, neutral brown and ash brown, really complemented each other very well. This was super easy, super fast. I feel like the color was perfect for me. So definitely impressed by these so far and looking forward to using them more. I'm obsessed with this. I think it's gorgeous. I honestly have only put it on my eyes maybe like 3 times now total, but every look I've done with it has been so insanely stunning. I think these are definitely more worth the money and the splurge than the Tarte Chrome Paints, which I have the shade Top Yacht. I think it's really beautiful, but I feel like the colors of the Chrome Paints aren't that unique, whereas the colors of these are definitely more interesting and special, and the finish has more of a sparkle than just a metallic foiled shine. These are $18 a piece, so definitely a bit of investment for a single eye product, but compared to like the Hourglass Scattered Lights, the Marc Jacobs Sequins, and the Tarte Chrome Paints, they are more affordable, and I just think they're really stunning. I definitely need to buy more of them at some point in the future. Would recommend. Is gorgeous. And then y'all know ColourPop press shadows are amazing. I love them. I have been enjoying using this guy so much this month, and the green shades I used here today ended up being really nice. I was kind of afraid that Team Captain shade was going to be patchy, but then once I switched over to my Sigma brush, I feel like I didn't really have a problem anymore. Sideline is also really gorgeous. I feel like it's obviously not quite as impactful as the pigment, so it was a nice kind of like blending shade, but I'm sure if you use it all on its own, if you like really like packed it on top of a glitter glue itself or foiled it, it could have a really nice metallic shine. And then finally we have this guy, the Kaja Heart Melter Lip Gloss Stick in the shade Honey Bunny. I love this color. I think it's really beautiful. It pairs really nicely with this kind of like very dramatic look, but it's also really perfect for an everyday kind of look. It's easy to throw in your bag. Honestly, the only thing about it I don't like is that the applicator does have that weird heart-shaped edge, which makes it like a little bit awkward to use and to get a perfect lip line. But it's a very kind of like easy lip formula to work with. It does deliver quite a bit of opacity, but it's not like so intensely pigmented that you have to be absolutely perfect with your lip line. Like if you do happen to go just outside your lip line, you can just kind of like rub it away with your finger and there's no harm done. So I at least appreciate that. I have enjoyed using it, and this is something I think that I'm going to reach for frequently on like my everyday rotation. All right, so that is everything for today's video. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed seeing me test out and play with all of this new makeup goodness. If you did, definitely make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It always really helps me out. Also, if you want to make sure you don't miss out on the update to this video that I will be doing in a couple of weeks once I've tested these products out even more, make sure that you're subscribed. And on that note, I'm about to go film my Boxy Luxe unboxing. It just came in the mail today, so stay tuned for that, coming I think this weekend. But yeah, thank you guys again so much for taking some time out of your day to hang out with me and play with makeup. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.